Emmanuel Chairman-Tinge Agyepong is a member of parliament for Ayawaso West Wuogon constituency and former chief executive of the Food and Drugs Authority. And thanks for joining me, sir.
Thank you.
It's a privilege. He's also a pharmacist. A lawyer, legal practitioner is also here, member of that very constituency, member of the NDC, Volga Central man. And thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me. Referring to this, I think you should clarify it with the audience.
Okay. It's an aspiring parliamentarian, so all right.
Can you confirm or deny?
Oh, he's not denied.
It's an open matter. It's not a secret.
Oh, okay.
Yes, so I don't think
Honorable Opam, is it Brown?
Opam Brown. We'll slug it out. It's a fair competition, and I think that we are in this together. We are from the same boat. Just that there's need to be somebody who will captain the boat, and that's what we are doing.
All right. Recently there was an open confrontation between the Northern Regional Minister and the MP for Damango. I hope it hasn't got into that with you.
No, we are two gentlemen, and I don't think we'll have.
And nobody is saying that you have
picked before time.
Yes.
I'm not doing things that suggest that I have picked.
Okay. This is.
All right. So the issues we're looking at, and of course we have to start with the NPP. With all the issues that they've had, just the last 14 to 15 hours have been interesting because, well, there was a letter that somehow got into the newsroom of Joy FM and gave indications that the general secretary of the party had resigned. It was really as if it was a formal letter, like the way it will be signed and sent as a communication to any press house. And, well, we also went on about it. And then we called him up. He said, there's no truth in the report. And I'm quoting him, I've been at home the whole day. I haven't issued any statement. I want to emphatically state that I'm still the General Secretary of the NPP. And we scanned the letter and would want to show it to you. And when we show it to you, we'll play his voice for you as well. And then you get to know what his reaction was to the whole issue. And that's a letter, formal letter through the email. And apparently this was sent through his personal email. He says the personal email was hacked. We'll just play the voice for you to also listen. And it says a press statement, resignation as General Secretary of the New Patriotic Party, and follows all that. When we scroll down, you get to see that it was signed like the way usually it will be signed. The same font size was used on a letterhead, etc. Now, just listen to kwabena Agyepong himself reacting on Joy FM as Ivan Spencer interviewed him. You
to know that I have not signed any letter, I have not issued any letter, I'm still at post. So if some people have been able to fake my email address, and I mean there are a lot of IT people who do all sorts of things in the country these days, you know, and so people can do things. I am at post. I want to reassure the people of my party, the people of our country, that I won a duly contested election, was sworn in by a public organization, the Electoral Commission, and so I'm a public officer. I earned my position, and I intend to see out my mandate. And if there are people in our party who want to push for my removal, there are constitutional processes that it should follow. None has been followed. What has been happening around the country is an illegality. It is shameful. It should never have happened because that is not what our constitution prescribes for us to do. So I'm still at post.
Is that, so I take it then this is a hack of your email then?
Well, perhaps maybe it is a hack of my email. You know, as I said, I don't have much knowledge in IT, so yes, my email is agyepong@yahoo.com, but I don't write letters with agyepong@yahoo.com. So I don't quite understand. And I hear it is on an NPP letterhead.
An official NPP letterhead.
And it is signed by who?
It's signed by yourself. It says kwabena Agyepong, former General Secretary.
Former General Secretary.
Former General Secretary.
I'm still General Secretary of my party. And they should stop all this confusion and stop faking things. People are desperate to get me out of the party. They are not going to have that comfort. I'm going to fight and stay. and I'm going to laugh this out, and I'll ride this storm. And so it's not going to happen.
Now, listen to this. This comes from the party's headquarters. It says, this is the MPP letterhead we are used to. It says, headquarters, private mailbag, Accra, North Ghana. All the details we've come accustomed to as far as the headquarters is concerned is on it.
My brother, have I been to the headquarters today? Have you cited me there? Perhaps you should ask those officers who have been to the headquarters today. You should ask them, because I don't have any custody of our letterheads at home. And I'm saying you are speaking to me personally. I'm saying that I have not resigned. That's what it is. I have not resigned. I would not resign. I will stick to my position, which I earned through my sweat and through the trust that the people of this party have in me. And I have worked hard and toiled for this party, and I'm not going to leave this position. I mean, clearly, these are unseen hands, people who want to destroy our party, bring the name of our party into disrepute, all that they've tried to do over the last 2 weeks, even to try and hang a murder around my neck. I mean, they will do anything. But I'm a very firm, strong person, and I'm resolute. And by the grace of our Lord, I believe in what I'm doing. I know I am right. And therefore, I'm going to stick to my position. And those who think I'm going to resign, better think about it. I'm not going to resign. Those who want to impeach me can go ahead, and I'll make sure that they will lose the impeachment effort. They would lose the impeachment effort. And this will eventually triumph over evil.
Eventually triumph over evil. What do you make of this? I start with you, Mr. Chimateja.
Thank you for having me on your platform, and let me say good morning to your viewers. I think that in the last 2 or 3 weeks, there has been some unfolding drama which any true blue-blood NPP person would not want even to comment on. I think that it is not too right. I think that all of us must come down from our high horses and consider the over 5 million people who in the last election voted for our presidential candidate. I think so. I am not here to sit in judgment as to who is right or who is wrong. I am here to say that all of us contested for leadership positions, and we contested for and on behalf of the people. You know, the preamble of our constitution talks about we the people. Similarly, whatever position anybody holds, we hold it at the pleasure, at the will of the people. And I think that what we do or what we do not do must all be determined by what the people want. You know, recently I went out running after some roofing sheets for construction of a police station in my constituency. And then when I finished what I was doing, a gentleman that I met in the queue walked towards my car and mentioned his name. He is a pastor with the Assemblies of God Church. And then he said, he passed a few comments about me and then went on to say, and he did this in tears. He was shedding tears. That we should be careful. And that what he wanted to tell me was that we are only leaders of this party. The party belongs to them. We must not do anything to hurt them. So what I would say, I mean, is that all of us that occupy some leadership position in our great party, the New Patriotic Party, we must not look at ourselves. We must not only consider ourselves, we must begin to look beyond ourselves we must look at the 5 million, over 5 million people that will always cast a vote. I want to believe that given the circumstances and the situation we live in, I want to believe that if we had election today, indeed, this party will win elections. Let us not do anything to hurt and traumatize the people that look up to us to come and salvage this sinking ship. I find it difficult to speak
on the subject.
It is
did you a leading member of the party? As far as
I don't know whether I'm a leading member. I am a member of parliament on the ticket of that party.
I know. You just want to be. You're a very humble person, so I believe that's that's just in.
I think this thing about, you see, this thing about leading member. I think
if you're a leading member, you can't change anything about it, can you?
Yeah, you can't. But I begin to. Everybody comes on radio or TV, and he is described as a leading member of the party.
Well, not everybody.
In the meantime, in the last 2 or 3 years,
it's not everybody. It's not everybody who comes on TV. I host people. I don't call everybody a leading member of the party. But critically also is the fact that, well, people like you and others who perhaps also tend to hold sway or have their opinion holding sway need also to be forthright and more assertive and speak to the issue. I've asked this question on this program, I think, the last 3 days. What do you think needs to be done by leadership? And if we're talking about leadership, not necessarily, who needs to do something and say, look, sit down, sit down, sit down. What is the problem? Let's resolve it.
I think that leadership is collective in these days. In a political party, leadership is, we have various tiers.
We need some one or two other people to set people down.
Obviously, I will agree with you. I am hoping that the Council of Elders will.
The Council of Elders won't do the trick.
Why do you say so?
Well, they've met a couple of times. They don't do the trick. We need one or two, three people.
Another person that I am hoping will come into the fray and say, guys, stop this, is a former President Kufuor.
Well, he's been indicted in a number of statements by, again, some leading members of the party. So how does somebody who has been indicted...
As I sit here in my constituency, there are people who would say all sorts of things about me. It doesn't make it their truth. It may not be factual. Okay. But I want to believe that, and I say this without equivocation, that to date, after 2016, the story may be different. After 2016, going to 2017, the story may be different. But to date, without equivocation, I think that he has been the most successful politician in our political tradition. And I think it behoves on him to stand up and speak to the issues. I want to believe that whatever positions he had taken in the past does not really matter now. I think this is crunch time, and he must come together with a few. I mean, I always believe in the collective. I don't believe in the individual. I always believe in the collective. I think that there are a couple of other people in our party who should be able to come up and say, this must stop. Some of them are indisposed, but it doesn't mean that they are out completely. We have had various past chairmen. We have had some extremely eminent people in our party. And so I think that there must be something must give within this week. I want to believe that something must give within this week.
Your observations. The last 3-4 weeks have been very interesting. I would want to call it interesting.
Let me start by saying good morning to my constituency in Bolga. I was over there over the weekend.
I think you should say
good morning. Did you attend a funeral?
I think you should say good morning to everybody.
There were 2 funerals, one from an NDC sympathizer, and then that of Adams. So I was able to shuttle between the two of them. Yes, I was at the funeral.
Very good of you.
Yes. Nana Akufo-Addo was there, most of the party big wigs were there.
I think he's a very popular person in Bolga and everybody. Adams, I mean.
Oh yeah, he's a homeboy. He's a homeboy. He actually dined and wined with the people before he became an NPP person. So he's quite a popular person in Bolga. What is happening in the NPP can best be described as political and constitutional insanity. Political insanity because I have never heard in any party where the chairman and the general secretary travel to a region to hold a meeting. The meeting is disrupted by hooligans and thugs, and yet the party will stand behind the thugs as against the chairman and the general secretary, condemning the general secretary for going into the region without telling the chairman, as if to say that they have given a license for thuggery and violence. I expected that the party would have protected their general secretary and protect their chairman. But what we saw was rather they were giving out, and it was those who disrupted the meeting that were praised for disrupting the meeting. I think that we cannot reduce our political parties to thuggery and violence. I think that that was distasteful. Constitutional insanity because you have a situation where regional chairmen or regional party executives are holding conferences without following the due process. Article 10 of their constitution talks about how you can remove an officer. And indeed, the notice to convene those meetings, you have to give 7 days notice. You find that in most of the cases, or in all the cases, it is just 1 day notice and the meeting is convened. A party that prides itself to be a party of lawyers, the president candidate, an astute lawyer, and yet you find this is happening in their party. That's why I describe it as constitutional insanity as well. I think that the NPP has not learned from what happened to them in 78, 79, where they broke into two as UAC, PFP. It was these things. They should go back and check. It was this bickering that resulted in the break of the party into two. Some 38 years, 40 years down the line, a similar thing is happening. What I think is that the NPP has completely lost it because of the fact that there's breakdown of leadership. Leadership failure. You just ask the question, who is the one who can rise from these ashes to bring about sanity within the party? And he's finding it difficult.
I didn't at all.
There is no person who...
No, because I asked...
You asked that question.
I mean, no.
I didn't at all.
It's not peculiar to the two of you. I've been asking this question the last 3 days. The holiday I asked, that was on Monday. Yesterday I asked, and today I'm asking. Who needs to calm the storm? Who will be respected by the rank and file to calm the storm? It is not necessarily about who is the respected politician of the tradition, but who, whether he's a respected politician of the current generation, of generation past, etc., who is respected among the rank and file, and when he talks, at least people will listen. Within the party now, as we speak and as we sit in this studio, there is simply nobody to do that. You can't say that.
You can't say that.
If there were, that person would have emerged.
Well, perhaps
leadership and leaders emerge out of difficult situations. This situation has been festering for the past 3 weeks. It is in times of difficulties that leaders emerge. Akufo-Addo is embroiled in this whole controversy. The person, and I was sad.
That's not fair.
I was sad. I was sad.
Where is the evidence?
I was sad when when Kufuor was dragged into it. I thought that was the only moral voice left. I was shattered. And I couldn't see how President Kufuor could be linked to what is happening. The man in most of the time was not even in town.
Yeah. And Akufo-Addo was most of the time not in town.
Because he is the most successful Dankwa Busia Dombo person in the NPP now. And we thought that when he returns home, or he could even cut short his visit out and come and stay affairs. But look at the mudslinging. He has been dented, and it was difficult for him
because
to stay affairs.
You say, okay, Mr. Chibanteja.
Akufo-Addo has been embroiled in this deeply. I expected Akufo-Addo to have stood behind the two elected executives till at a point where it is clear that they are culpable or they have brought the party into disrepute. I expected that he should stand by them and call all those regional executives to hold their fire and to ask them not to go ahead to do what they are doing. Most of the things they did are alien to the party. I have also heard the party National Council writing letters to the two gentlemen to step aside. Which of the Constitution?
They haven't asked that.
Which provisions of the Constitution?
Let's be specific in the thing.
Whether requests they have written, that is not provided for in your Constitution. They are acting ultra vires. No less a person than your former constitutional and legal affairs chairman are equal to describe what is happening in the party as illegal. And I think that the center cannot hold any longer, and the NPP must be doing something extraordinary to bring about some unity in the party. The pastor you talked about, if he's actually a member of the NPP, I think what he should be doing is not to shed tears, but to fast and pray for the NPP.
You're making a meal out of this, I believe.
Absolutely.
Okay. No. You have been. I've known you. I've talked to you several times when you were at the FDB at the time. Now the FDA. You're a known pharmacist. You have been in business. You have taken various leadership positions in the past. I would want to ask you candidly, if you were not an MP, you were just a leader of, let's say, an entity that was in a position as the party is now, what would you have done? Is it a difficult question to answer?
No, not really. Let me go back to.
But you are not answering directly.
Let me go back to the positions that have been canvassed here by Councillor Malba. First and foremost, the fact that people say things about you does not mean that it is factual. The fact that people have, to use his word, they have drawn Akufo-Addo and Kufuor into this. It's not factual.
Okay.
Indeed, in the playing of politics, it is not everything. Indeed, I want to believe that is why it is called politics. It is not everything that happens that is brought to the fore. I think that when there's a crisis, it is only information that is necessary that must be brought into the public domain. It is presumptuous for my friend to sit here and assume that Akufo-Addo has not done anything about this, and he has not shown leadership, and he has not. When the man came from Europe, that same evening, as soon as he touched down, he had a meeting with the chairman and the general secretary.
You're sure about it?
I am certain about it.
And then he told them they shouldn't go to the funeral.
Oh, as to what they discussed, it's not for.
If you were the presidential candidate of the party, and you met with the two gentlemen who are the center of speculation, so to speak.
Yes.
Would you tell them not to attend a national officer's burial?
Did you hear that he asked them not to attend?
Okay.
No.
So would you advise them that they should be there?
It depends on the exigency. It really and truly depends.
That's the question. Would you advise that they be there?
It depends on the
because
exigency.
Because they were not there. And this was publicly reported by the media.
Let me tell you that in the Upper East region, among the executives, non-die-hard supporters, of the late chairman were not at the funeral, because death and its consequences could be very emotive. No, I mean, they will talk about. I hear the national coordinator and the youth organizer, the regional youth organizer. They are inseparable from the late chairman. But because of the prevailing circumstances, they didn't attend the funeral.
You mean the burial?
Yeah, the burial.
Because they were at the family house, I believe.
I think that everybody in Bulga knows that the national coordinator and the regional youth organizer are inseparable. But because of the circumstances that led to the death.
So you're making same allusion. They were emotional about the demise of the regional chairman.
So you see, there is not a one way to look at this matter. I think that sometimes one must look at the exigencies. And for me, what I am driving at is that it is cold comfort for some people to say it is a total loss of leadership. Yes, we can agree.
You think that NDC is making a meal out of this?
Oh, well, it is politics. I mean, what do you expect? NDC is not Salvation Army. They will want to take advantage of everything that happens. And indeed, sometimes they go beyond. I mean, really, this is a party that will want to brand this country as a cocaine republic because it suits their political purposes. This is a party. You understand me? So what can they do? I am here admitting that we have a challenge. I am here admitting that we are in the middle of a storm. But I'm here saying that we will manage this. Look, this is a party that has a long history of adversity. Long history of adversity. Some time ago, people thought that we could not even rise to form a government because we had been in the doldrums for 30 years. This party has character. This party has strength. I tell you, the people that believe in this party, they almost do it as an article of faith. I am the first person to concede that I am extremely unhappy. I am saddened about some of the things that are happening. But I want to believe that at the end of the day, much sooner than later, good sense will prevail. I will not blame, we will not blame.
But you do agree that democracy is about you leveraging on your brand and how your brand also tends to reposition itself to resonate in the market.
But you see, you have used the word that is most appropriate. That is why the marketing specialists have words like rebranding, repositioning.
So after the storm, you rebrand.
I can completely agree.
After the storm, you rebrand.
I can completely agree that the brand has a challenge now. Toyota recalls 2.7 million vehicles sometimes.
Honda just recalled 34 million.
Honda has just recalled 34 million. But nobody would say that Honda is finished. No. There are issues. Look, there are things that
you don't hear Mercedes recalling its models.
Oh, yeah, but Honda still has a fair market share.
Not like Mercedes, though. And you are Mercedes. If you become like Honda, that's erosion of the brand.
No, I don't think so.
There's a question I wanted to pose to him, but I want to pose this to you. He made allusions to the fact that, well, nobody can make concrete conclusions that, well, the flag bearer hasn't waded into this and tried to resettle matters. Nobody can also make conclusions that the former president hasn't made effort or can't make effort, despite all the things that have been said about him, and that all the things said about somebody are very much inconclusive and cannot be used to be said to be the truth. Do you think? Do you think that there's a justification for all the things that are going on about the General Secretary and the Chairman, for it to be fact that they have to resign or step aside, so to speak, if we make comparisons with the two analogies, so to speak?
That the General Secretary should resign?
Yes. No, not necessarily resign or step aside. Not necessarily. I think resignation is even a big word.
See, their own constitution talks about how an officer can be made to leave office. It talks about a misbehavior.
I do understand. I'm even talking about the grounds on which now we're calling for this.
Yes. And what, so the question is, what are the grounds for
what did they do?
What did they do for you now to be calling for their resignation? Is it because they went to the Upper East to hold a meeting and the chairman was not informed. Let's assume that that was true. Is that a misbehavior? Wasn't a meeting held at the party headquarters here, a steering committee, and the general secretary was not informed? Has anybody asked those people to resign? Those who held that meeting? The allegation of Afoko and the brother. This is a full grown-up man. The younger brother, Gregory, is a full grown-up man who has the right to take decisions one way or the other. He's in conflict with the law. How can you attach Afoko to that, the chairman to it?
Who has done that?
So on what grounds are we saying the general secretary and the chairman should step aside?
Because you cannot give us the grounds upon which those two persons should resign, I have every right to speculate the way I am doing.
Okay, so we agree that you are speculating. So let's take it that way.
If these are the two things that they are holding on to and say they should resign, what is the proof that Chairman Afoko or kwabena Agyepong is complicit in the death of the gentleman in Bolga? So I think that there is, look, let me now tell you what I want to tell you when I was coming here. Ever since the two gentlemen were elected from Tamale, Nana Akufo-Addo has never been comfortable with them.
How do you know that? What evidence do you have to that very assertion?
Absolutely. The man says he is speculating.
When they were going for elections, Mustafa Hamid, who is his spokesperson, said that whether Chairman Afoko wins or not, Nana Akufo-Addo will carry on with the campaign without him. And I am saying that ever since they came from Tamale, the two gentlemen have been tagged as Alan men.
Why?
Because there's that camp. There's a Akufo-Addo camp and the Alan camp. There's also the allegation that the two gentlemen have what is called Agenda 2020 to frustrate Nana's campaign bid so that in 2020 they will put up themselves.
That's speculative.
I'm saying that it is coming from them. It is coming from them.
We've all heard it by speculation.
Exactly. So these people, these two gentlemen, ever since they were elected, were not allowed and have not been allowed to function as executives. Their first act, which is to bring about some changes within the secretariat, was frustrated, as if that's the first time that such things were done. It was frustrated. I knew that
they wanted to make wholesale changes. Nobody wanted wholesale changes.
I knew that we're getting to this point where a vote of no confidence will be passed on them because there is a grand scheme to make them malfunction and not to be able to perform. Based on that, they will then say that the two of you are not performing, so step aside. And I think that the NPP has shown violence. They will rip violence.
That's not fair.
And if
that's not fair comment, is it? You're a top politician. You shouldn't be making such comments.
This is what is happening. That's the situation.
What violence has
They will now have to sow peace so as to rip peace.
Now let's make conclusions on this. We have to get on to some other subjects.
My colleague here has himself said that all the things he's doing is speculative. He cannot speak on authority because...
On what grounds are the General Secretary and the Chairman being told to step aside?
I don't think anybody has asked that.
We've had regional events put together
so what has happened is what?
By chairmen of the various regions who have convened meetings.
Yes.
And the meetings have been communicated to the media, giving indications within sets that, well, they are asking them to step aside.
I think that the regional chairman can call a meeting, but it doesn't mean that every regional chairman has a right to call a meeting. Probably some of the things they put on the agenda may have no basis. May have absolutely no basis.
Probably.
It is well within the remit of a regional chairman to call a meeting. But you can go to a meeting and some of the things you discuss may be a nullity ab initio.
So it means that you are not in favor with the meetings that may ongoing.
Oh, as for the regional chairman calling the meetings, it is, let us admit that we have a situation. A regional chairman had been murdered under very bizarre circumstances. Okay, so it is well within the remit of the regional chairman to call regional meetings to probably discuss some issues related to this. But I think that for them to begin to talk about passing resolutions for impeachment and all of those things is completely outside the remits.
When would you expect When would you expect President Kufuor to come and sit in this and say, look, you guys hold your fire and let's talk peace?
I think that it happens in every house. It happens in.
I'm asking when would you expect him to?
I think he's traveled. I want to believe he's expected back this weekend. And I can say on authority that the fact that he is not here physically doesn't mean that he's not doing anything.
Well, nothing is happening.
Well, it doesn't take a day to douse fire sometimes. It doesn't. We are the first people to admit that there is some storm.
There's a stalemate.
I am the first person to admit that there is some challenge. Okay. But it is not as Councillor Amalba wants or is speculating, or it's his wishful thinking that it is a grand scheme by some people to stop other people. No, this is a very democratic party.
In your estimation, do you think since they were elected, the chairman as well as general secretary have had a smooth ride in managing issues?
I think you see, it is just like
for example, do you think the way your former general secretaries and chairman functioned, and the way, let's say, the general secretary and the chairman of the NDC also functioned, do you think that the same thing we've seen?
I think so. I mean, after all, recently
they've been given the free hand to.
Recently, in the new NDC administration, we are seeing all the things that are coming up. Kokwanyidoho comes up to say that the organizer, Kofi Adams, is usurping the powers of the general secretary. In an establishment, sometimes these things happen. I want to liken it to Parliament. In Parliament, okay, many things are done by consensus. There will always be one or two things that turn out into a heated debate that comes out into the media. If there are 10 issues and we can agree on 6 by consensus, people, what is news? The normal things don't make the news. It is only the out of sync things that makes the news. I want to believe that since Mr. Foko and Mr. Agyepong became general secretary, probably out of 10 things, there has been agreement on 6 things. There has been no agreement on 4 things. It does not mean then that they have been prevented from working. Otherwise, we couldn't have gone through a presidential primaries. We couldn't have gone through, currently we are going through a parliamentary primaries. I mean, if the chairman and the general secretary were prevented from working, how would we have come this far? So yes, I admit, I am the first person to agree that there has been some difficulties, as in every human institution, as in the NDC.
Do you think they should step aside?
Oh, until and unless there is something that there is ground. That is the word the Constitution uses.
But right now you agree there's no ground?
I don't think that anybody has proven anything. Okay.
All right. Thank you very much.
Indeed, sometimes out of conviction, when sometimes things happen, and then because there is a storm, even in our families it happens. When there's a storm, sometimes we will ask for a separation. Sometimes we will ask that let's stay apart. Sometimes we will ask that, oh, let me take a trip or something, so that by the time I come back, we probably would have. There are various ways of handling issues.
But you see, if people are calling for the two to resign, I think the call should be extended to Nana Akufo-Addo to also resign alongside with them.
Who has